Okay, good afternoon, folks. I'm Glenn. I'm the beekeeping bushman. Today is an important inspection because I'm going to be out of the state for the next couple of weekends, and so I want to make sure everything's okay before I leave. I'm going on a trip to Alaska with my Boy Scouts, and it's going to be pretty awesome. But when I checked last time, this top super was 80% full. I talked to my mentor and said, is there a problem if I choose to put a new super on, even if it's not completely capped yet? He said, absolutely not. What's a little extra space? If we end up in a June dearth, or there's not enough nectar, they'll have plenty of food to eat in the 9 days that I'm gone. So, but I also want to inspect inside the brood boxes because I haven't done that in a couple of weeks. So let's take a look and see what we see here. Off the cover. There. Give them a little smoke. Smoke's not too hot. Oh, I left my hive tool over there. Looking forward to hearing from my friends John and Debbie. They're picking up a nucleus colony, which is not a box of bees like what I've gotten in the past couple of years, but it's an established colony living in 5 frames inside of a box called a nuke box, a much smaller box. And they're going to be installing it into their hive tomorrow. So I'm excited for them. Okay, let's get this dead lady out of here that I squished a couple of weeks ago. Alright, we'll pop this inner cover off. And as before, see, they built up all this propolis on the side. So my thought about giving them some extra ventilation, it's working, but looks like they don't like it quite as much as I thought. Or don't think they need it quite as much as I thought. But that's alright. I'm going to keep these shims on here to give them a little extra ventilation. Just to help them dry that honey out. I tried to come in a couple hours ago to do this. But they were doing orientation flights. I'll post that video today. It was crazy activity going on. So, give some of that. Let's take a look here. Just looking down in, I don't see a ton of capping going on. But like I said, I'm going to put this extra honey super on no matter what, because I don't want them to start running out of room and deciding that they want to fill up their brood boxes down below, which are really for babies, with nectar and honey. Besides, if I don't give them space to store honey, then there's not a place that I can steal honey from. So this is mostly full. Put that off to the side there. I'm only going to check a few frames up here before I pull this box off and check down below. I said that last week and I ended up taking out 6, which is a little more than a few, but okay, that one's getting good and full. Wow, look at all that beautiful nectar. I don't know whether you can see that. Boy, have they been busy. So they're going to dry that out, and that's going to turn into honey. They've even capped a little bit right here at the top edge here. I'm most interested in what's going on in those middle frames where they had brood before. It was all drone brood. Drone brood takes a little bit longer to hatch. Wow. Good and full. And partially capped. You'll see the capped honey there. Doing a good job getting it all dried out, ready for harvest. And the next one I can see without having to pull it out. I'm going to leave it. It's partially capped on this side. Just recently had a good friend of mine from high school tell me that she used to do bees but then moved away and left some equipment at a mutual friend's house down the road. So she's got an extra honey super I can grab from her, which is great. Okay, so there's that drone brood. And some of it's capped. Definitely got some pollen stores in here, but again, mostly capped honey on here. There's more drone brood on the next frame that I can see just without pulling it. Okay, so I don't have to go any further in here. I'll put these back together. Put the frame back in. Just pop this super right off so I can get into the brood boxes down below. I'm going to get myself some nitrile gloves so that I don't have to keep cleaning all this propolis off my fingers. And I understand that works pretty well. You can still feel what's going on, which is why I don't wear my leather gloves very often. And but you can throw them away when you're done so you aren't all sticky and don't have to get out the alcohol to wash the bee glue off of everything. Okay, so I'm going to take this box right off, see what I can see down below. Ooh, that's heavy. Ooh, that's heavy. Okay, so they got some burr comb they've created here, which as always I'm going to get out of the way. That's going to eventually end up at the penny house where they make candles. Cutest kids in the world, by the way, except for mine when they were younger, but mine aren't young anymore, so they're still cute, but they don't like me to talk about it. I save everything that comes out of the hive. When I scrape off propolis, it goes into a bucket labeled propolis. When I scrape off honeycomb, it goes into a bucket labeled comb. The way I look at it, this hobby's not cheap. Whatever I can do to get money back, I'm game. Give them a little smoke up here. Look at that, my smoker's still going. That doesn't happen very often. One thing I'm not real good at is keeping my smoker going. I'm working on it. Like anything else, practice makes perfect, right? Here's one of the problems with burr comb. When I take those frames out up above and move them around, these poor bees down below get squished when I put them back in because this comb's in the way. Normally there'd be bee space in between. It's a certain amount of space that the bees like. When there's bee space in between, lets them have a place to go or get out of the way when I put the frames in from the super up above. But when there's not enough bee space, you just get squished. Here we get a little bit of drone brood, which they often do in burr comb. did a lot of research on why burr comb happens. A lot of times it's because they want a ladder to go from one to the other. And so they build themselves some comb that makes it easier for them to get up and down from the brood box to the super. All right, we got our comb out of the way. So now let's take a peek. So I'll go from this side over here. Been a couple weeks since I've seen the queen, but I've definitely seen evidence of the queen, so I'm not worried about whether she's here. Just want to see eggs and brood occasionally so that you can make sure she's still laying. Okay, that frame is all nectar and honey with a little bit of drone comb on it. I can set that down there without squishing anybody. You can see that's all honey. Now the majority of that was there when I put these combs back in from last year because I didn't harvest the honey from the brood chamber. And then here, see these bullet-shaped cells? That's the drone comb. So that's the comb that they build for the boys. Put that down. Careful, ladies. Really need a frame rest. This frame is mostly empty. Do have some capped brood on this side and an emerging bee. See if I can show you that. If I can get a good grip here with one hand. Right here, there's a bee that's just coming out. See it coming out there? I don't know whether I got it on film here, but just coming out of its hidey hole. Like to see that. Does mean that something good is going on. That means the queen was laying at least 21 days ago. Still looking for Her Majesty here. Oh, I see larvae. That's good. See what's called a queen cup, which is something that they would normally be building if they needed a new queen. There's a bunch of them here on the bottom. Oops. Sorry, ladies. Okay, lots of good brood going on here. Larva. Alright, this queen is still here and it's still going gangbusters. Capped brood there. Great. Okay, so this is all going to go back together, and then the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the bottom of both brood boxes by just tipping it back a little bit. Again, I don't want to disrupt them any more than I have to. Less time I'm in here, the happier Liam is when I go to upload these videos, because it means his internet connection doesn't die for as long. And the more productive they will be. By the way, ladies. Oops. Sorry. I gotcha. See a little bit of burr right down there on the side. Try and hook it up with my hive tool here to get it out of the way. Okay. Now we'll put this frame back in. Ooh, that one's heavy. Honey. There. Looking good. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tip these up. Take a look at the bottom. I think in order to do that, I'm actually going to take this one off, tip the bottom one, and I'll be able to see the bottom of this top one when I take it off. Looks good there. We're making a couple of queen cups there. Makes me a little bit nervous that they might be running short on room. So I guess it's a good thing I'm giving them this other box here. Okay, so this is going to be quick. I'm going to give them just a little bit of smoke here. Calm them down. And then do a real quick peek at the bottom of this. All sorts of extra comb they've built down there. But I don't see any swarm cells, and that's great. Dudes. Okay, so top box back on. Honey Super back on. Take my shims off. Scrape down the top just a shade here so that the next super fits nice and doesn't stick to it. There's some of that propolis I'm going to save. Like a ball of gum. Put that into some strong alcohol and it makes a tincture that is very antibiotic. And and very expensive to buy at the store. Okay, this is my second honey super from last year. And so I'll put it on top and then I'll show you what it looks like. This is almost completely undrawn comb. I mean, that one's fairly well drawn out because it's in the middle. But if I show you what's on the outside edge here, nothing. So I'm hoping with this strong nectar flow that's going on here, they will have the wherewithal to draw that out into comb at the very least and fill it at its best. So, shims back on. I think the rest of the shims are still on the outer cover. Yep, I mean the inner cover. So, inner cover back on with the shims in place. These all lined up as best I can. And then outer cover back on. I think I'm going to have to adjust my taut line hitch. I'm going to have to retie my taut line hitch. Never mind, just adjust it. Should have taken video the other day. The other day I had my wife's Girl Scouts stop by. They were prepping for their encampment that's going on right now. And they wanted to check out the beehive, because one of the girls is going to do her Gold Award project on pollinators and pollinating gardens. And so they figured while they were here, they'd take a look. And it was not a nice day, so I couldn't open the beehive up. But I think they had fun, and I'd like to have them back someday to take a look inside. So there's my last inspection until probably July 2nd or July 3rd or July 4th. So let's hope that they do well while I'm gone, that they're productive, that they're happy, and if for some reason they run out of local food, I know they have plenty up here. And that's it for today. I'm the Beekeeping Bushman.